Hey YouTube, what's going on? ZeroMagnumX here. I have another deck profile for everybody. It was requested, so I'm going to show you guys my Skull Warrior deck. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, first off, this is the buddy I'm using of choice. I don't like him because he has 6k and 3 crit. So it's Blade Tiger Gurunbu. So I'm just choosing that because he fits into the deck. He was common, I believe. Yeah. And he's easy enough to call. He can kill some stuff off the board. Different reasons for running him. Okay, let's get to the main deck. First, we have 3 Yamagitsune. I don't think you can play Skull Warriors without at least 3 to 4 of him. That's my personal opinion. The second thing I want to make mention of real quick here is that this deck is going to be where it doesn't include set 3 yet. So I'll go along the changes as I mention cards. This card should be the 7,000 size one if you're going to use it. But for right now it's Urakumaru. So I run 4 of her. She's solid enough. Then we have Blood Knife Kimensai. So he's penetrate. He nets a lot of victories for me. Just because of the penetrate, it can just dig through the opponent and link attack and everything else. So it's really a great card to have in 4. Okay, that's it for size 1s. It seems minimum, but whenever you see the rest of the deck, it'll start to make sense. Okay, now we have our size 2s. So we have 4 Garuo. He's a staple. He's relatively cheap, so he's not going to be that difficult to get a hold of. Very powerful card, very potent. No way to get him back after he's used, but being able to go and jump up to 6,000 and have double attack is pretty good. And then you can also pay a gauge. If you know what you threw into the gauge, he can be beneficial because you can just stick stuff into your drop zone and then get it back with return from the underworld. Okay, then we have the buddy monster of the deck. So 4 of that. And then we have 2 of this guy. Yamahibe, I believe. Sorry if I'm butchering the names. I mean, they're associated with Japanese warriors. So I'm not Japanese. I'm very much American. Apologies if I'm butchering them. So I like being able just to kill a size 1 or less. It's pretty good. It's also very good versus Danger World decks, which have been good lately. So, and then Knowledge is Power. So I'm running 2 of Kashin Koje. I like knowing what my opponent has. The deck idea is that it's control-ish. So it tries to maintain a board state where it is always in a dominating position by making sure the opponent is not. So having a couple of those doesn't hurt, even though it's not a Skull Warrior. Okay, size 3s. This is a little bit more in the explanation thing. This Extermination Ninja, I would use the new guy that's like Vermilion from Cardfight Vanguard, where it can attack all of their monsters on the field. So I would run that over this guy. The reason I was using him is because it gives me a discard outlet through Underworld, and I can blow up their field, maybe have a few Underworlds out, because now this works. This is actually why I made the change. I think in the video I had more of this guy, which is Kotaro Fuma, and I switched over to this, knowing that now you can use your Underworld card multiple times for each one. Being able to ditch a few size 3s with a couple of those off might not be a bad exchange. So, I don't know. I haven't actually ever got to use it, but it's theory. I still think the guy with Cherry Blossom Storm is way, way better than this guy is. This guy is just because I had him and he's in the deck. And then, like I said, Kotaro Fuma, because he has double attack. I mean, he has 1 gauge, so he's a very efficient size 3 in that sense. But he can be easily killed with 5k by a lot of size 2s, even 1000 Rapier. So with that in mind, I'd probably find something better if you could in that spot. But again, until I have stuff from the new trial deck, stuff from set 3, this is what I have to work with right now. Okay, on to the important cards. Not that monsters aren't important, because they're how you win, but this deck focuses primarily on its spells. Specifically this card, 4 Hades Falls. You can't run the deck without 4 of these. I tried and failed. The card is way too powerful. It lets you just set up against the opponent so well that you sit there with a powerful advantage the entire time. I mean, you can just grab all your size 1s, toss them into the Hades Fall, and just kill their guys. Like, versus stuff, even like the new decks, like Dungeon World, if they're using a bunch of Braves, they're like all size 1s, outside of some of the bad ones I don't see people using. So you can just stockpile size 1s into this to counter Dungeon World. And then you can just toss them into the drop zone and then play into the next card, which is Return to the Underworld. Sorry, Return from the Underworld makes more sense because it's coming from the drop zone. But Return to the Underworld, Enforce, especially since now you can spam it. This card is really good. It's a staple for any Skull Warrior player. Definitely need 4 of it. I mean, it just allows you to toss a gauge and bring back any size 1 Skull Warrior. That's including Yamagitsune. And I think you can link attack with your guys with Yamagitsune and still pop off your Skull Warriors to draw cards. So the sacrificial element of where your monsters die at the end phase isn't so bad. And all of that combos with this Demon Way Gapukugori. Sorry, I cannot pronounce it for the life of me. All I know is that this card is Doomblade in terms of buddy fight for this deck, or something along those lines. It's a kill spell. Your dude dies, which the deck naturally does, kill something. It's just a very relevant card all of the time. You have to run 4 if you want to run the list, like I said. It's too important. I mean, if you don't have the room, make the room, because all your guys die. This card triggers all the time, and that nice size 3 they place all their investment in, maybe even to protect, and you did some, you know, shenanigans, and this just gets rid of it. Like, I mean, even versus Ancient World, there's a card that removes the soul from it, and then all of a sudden, if they kill your guy and they Dulsager, you can just throw that down and, like, your Dulsager is dead. So, I like the card a lot. And it's nice because it's one of the cards that gets around that 1 counter per battle roll, because you can just use it in the end phase after something died to kill their monster. After you went through a count, like, oh, I played my counter, they played their counter, okay, my dude dies, now your guy's dead anyway. So I really like the card. I am using 4 Clear Serenity. This is player preference. I really advise against using 4 if you feel like you can maintain your gauge better. Run 3 for sure, but I like seeing it enough so that whenever I play it, I can just throw it down, or I can charge this into gauge and cycle. It's a very nice card for the deck for me because my deck is super gauge heavy. So I run 4 just so I see it, because if I don't run 4 ofs in card games, I don't see cards. I have stupid luck in card games. I mean, if you guys checked out the former video, I think I had 3 Hades Fall in a single game and opened with 2 of them. Maybe I opened with all 3 and just waited to play the one, I'm not sure. But I tend to have ridiculous luck whenever I run proper amounts of cards. And that's kind of how this deck is geared. Modify Clear Serenity to your personal play style. This is a personal player preference. And then we have 3 Body Art Replacement. This card's really good and really strong, but it doesn't stop link attacks, which is huge with Dungeon World. So I've taken this down to 3. I mean, it's a fine card. Generally speaking, I like the newer one, because with this deck I try to leave my center open a lot, especially after my guys die, and then I can just counter with the new card from Nationals or whatever, and hopefully it gets into circulation so I can get myself 4 copies. And I think I would run 4 and then maybe 3 Clear Serenity, because I think it's a better card. I don't know, I'd have to test a little bit, but that's kind of my thought process. And then finally we have 2 Shooting Cross Knives right hand and 2 Spinning Windmill Knives backhand. And then our weapon of the deck, which is one of the Ninja Star Windmill Knives Moon Circle. Kind of a set because they're all, you know, knives, so to speak. I like having this package in my deck. You don't have to necessarily, but I rather enjoy it. I think this is the only weapon worth running in Katana World, to be truthful with you, because it's 8K, so it mows over everything. And then, given I usually let Yamagitsune sit on the left or the right, because my Penetrate guys stay in the middle and then they die, kind of my strategy, this clears their field if they go after my guy. If not, I have some Nullifies in the deck to stop direct attacks, which is why it plays well into this deck. So that's the entire main deck. I'm not going to go over side deck for this, only because I believe that is player preference. My side deck is terrible. The only card I suggest running in the side deck is this guy right here to kill weapons off. But outside of that, I think the rest is up to the player. I run 3 of those because Dragon World has a ton of weapons, just saying. And it also shuts off stuff like Danger World. So it's a utility card for me. But outside of that, the other 7 cards are up to you. I would only suggest 3 of the Ninja Arts of Item Blasting. Anyway, YouTube, I hope you enjoyed this. And please remember to comment, favorite, and subscribe. Keep fighting, buddy fighters. Take care, and ZeroMagnumX out. Later, everybody.